Good evening and good morning, geniuses. What makes an INFJ is going to be the probably shorter topic that I talk about tonight. This is my evening. I'm not sure what it is where you are right now, but this is going to end my day. And I think that an INFJ and any personality has a lot to do with just how you're born, the DNA that's passed down to you from your parents, and of course, life events affect things in certain ways. And as you get older, of course, and you learn different things from different people, yes, that has some effect on how you act, your attitude, the knowledge you have. But when you think about the functions or gifts, talents that an INFJ has, such as almost reading people's minds, reading the energy of the room, and being able to connect the dots in very interesting ways from sort of the 30,000 foot view far off, and just over time, and your brain can connect things subconsciously a lot of times. Sometimes it could be all in a day or an hour, or it could be over years. That's something I don't think that comes from necessarily just learned experiences. And even the interesting part about how we're not really just introverts, we're more like omniverts and chameleons that can just blend into whatever crowd we need to at the time. That's pretty interesting because I'm not sure if any other personality can really do that, and definitely not in the way that we can anyway. But being able to switch from introvert to extrovert on demand, that's pretty interesting and pretty cool. And of course, the only drawback for us is that it usually drains our energy way faster than if we were just at home or in a secluded environment, being our sort of normal self. And so my experience is when I was in middle and high school, this is like 5th through 12th grade, I was actually kind of, looking back, I was pretty extroverted generally. But of course, I can attribute a lot of that to just being a kid and sort of the arrogance or ignorance that comes with being a teenager and all that sort of stuff. But there were still plenty of times I can remember where I enjoyed just being at home and doing artsy kinds of things. I remember making comic books, that kind of thing, and just totally by myself. And that was, or out in the woods. And some of those times were the best ever. And it was just me, or just me and a close friend, whoever that was at the time. But then after high school, and I had some, well, more than just one, but immediately after high school, more or less, I had some traumatic things happen in my life. And that brought me into depression and anxiety. And I don't know if you'd call it schizophrenia, but just very bad anxiety, to the point where if I was out in public around other people, and maybe even at home to some extent, it was like I was watching myself do everything. And just imagine if you're like watching yourself from the ceiling or something, and you're hyper aware of everything. And so maybe in some ways that heightened some of my INFJ skills, but at the time it was very bad. But I don't think it was that really that gave me the skill of just being aware of my surroundings, all that kind of stuff, because I always was. And it took me a long time to sort of put that all together. Thinking, was it the traumatic event that made me an INFJ? And then there was another one after that. And no, it took me a long, long time to be able to look in hindsight and see that I've always been an INFJ. And having the main personality functions, just being introverted, intuitive, feeling, and judging. That's where the INFJ comes from. And like I said before, I am no expert to break down the functions and the order of the cognitive abilities and all those things. I've listened to so many people talk about it, and I understand it when they talk about it, but I just personally haven't really felt the need to become an expert on it. I can barely find somebody to talk to about this stuff in my immediate circle, because they either think it's, weird, or it's not something that they want to even learn about for themselves to know what personality they are. So why would they care about, what my personality type is? And maybe I just haven't tried too hard, but I have recommended to some friends hey, you should check this out, because, it was very eye-opening for me. But going back to what makes an INFJ, I would be curious if any of you have any different feelings, thoughts, experience. If I've never talked to somebody that thought that there was an event or something specific that made them an INFJ. It seems that everybody just kind of is one, and your personality just changes a little bit because of events, but not really the major functions of how you operate. So that's what I believe from everything I've seen. I think it's amazing, some of the videos that are out there that just explain not just INFJs, but of course there's videos for other personalities, and they explain us very well and list the issues that we have in daily life and all that. But again, I don't think it's that important to dwell on that kind of stuff too much. It's mostly entertainment. But the community side is interesting to me. And the fact that you could listen to another person with the same personality type and you would just connect, or you would feel heard and known and trusted and maybe even loved. And so that's part of my motivation for making these videos, besides just getting my own thoughts out of my head and talking some of this stuff out, is to be that sort of voice for other people and the right people who can relate. So I'm going to call it there for this video, but I look forward to making more, and hopefully I'm just getting on a roll with this channel. So I'll talk to you soon, genius.